This was an extremely bizarre case involving a male corpse. The victim's head and hands had been brutally sawed off, and his body had been kept frozen inside a refrigerator for 30 years. Earlier, some workers were clearing out junk when they stumbled upon the body inside an old fridge. When police arrived at the scene, they confirmed the victim's head and hands had been removed. It was clear the killer's intention was to conceal the man's identity. On the victim's arm was a strange tattoo. Because he had no teeth, it was difficult to determine his exact age. The medical examiner told Kenny that based on the condition of the remains, the victim had been a relatively young adult male. The head and hands had been cut off after death, partly to make it easier to dispose of the body, and partly to make identifying him harder. What was especially strange was that the skin on the victim's arm showed wrinkling, and his internal body temperature was minus 15 degrees Celsius, 5 degrees Fahrenheit. That meant he had been kept frozen since death. The refrigerator used to store the body had been padlocked, and inside it were traces of blood. That blood could help investigators determine the man's identity. At this stage, police still had no idea how long the body had been kept frozen. Then the medical examiner found a chocolate wrapper in the victim's pocket. The design was from 1990, which suggested the body might have been frozen since the early 90s. Kenny then looked into the tattoo, which turned out to be the emblem of a soccer club. Meanwhile, a female officer traced the fridge's serial number and discovered it had been purchased by a man named Robert. Police called the cleaning company that had discarded the fridge. The company explained that they had been cleaning out Robert's house after he died of a heart attack 2 months earlier. That's why his belongings, including the fridge, had been removed. Investigators then headed to Robert's home to look deeper into the case.